Good evening, people. It's me. I'm back again. My name's Courtney, and I am here to share a book that I've written called How to Survive in Babylon. And this evening, we're going to just look at Chapter 6, How to Survive in a Western Society in Babylon. And there's a section in this chapter called Freedom. Freedom, 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 right? How many of you actually experience freedom in your life? Like in this modern day, how many of you can say that you're truly free? Like real freedom? Free to be yourself, free to live life on your own terms, your own way, without being told what to do. Now, don't get me wrong, we can't live in a lawless society. Society needs laws, guidelines, but the freedom I'm talking about is, being free of this societal matrix that we're living in right now. And I'm just gonna very much start off as well just by reading a few sentences on this section, which is about freedom. Freedom is something many of us in Western society haven't truly experienced. What do I mean by this? Let's dive a bit deeper. Think about your life from childhood to adulthood. You were told what to do by your parents, at nursery, at school, and even at work. Notice the pattern? Nursery, school, and work are all controlled environments where you're expected to conform to their rules and ways of thinking. None of these places teach you to think for yourself. Instead, you're conditioned to follow a way of thinking that isn't your own. Ask yourself, when have you ever truly had the freedom to think for yourself? Now, just by what I've read, just think about some of those questions that, popped up. From when you were a child, you were told by your parents what to do, right? And then you went to school, you were told what to do, or should I say, nursery, right? You were told what to do, right? Then you went to school, told what to do. You finished school, right? Primary school, and then you went to secondary school, again, told what to do, right? You leave secondary school, you go to college, you get given assignments, you got told what to do, when to, given your assignment, right? And then you get older, you get a job, you get told when to come in to work, when you finish work, when you can go on your break. You get very much told in your contract when how much annual leave you get for the year. You don't get to decide. You don't get to decide how much annual leave you get to have. And then when you book your annual leave, you have to request it. You have to ask. You can't just book it off when you feel like it, right? You have to get permission from your managers about when you can book off annual leave, right? So just think about how you've lived your whole life. You've lived like a slave. Your very much whole life, you get told what to do, when to do it, how to do it, at what time, right? You're operating on someone else's time. Just think about it. You are operating on someone else's time. You're not operating on your own time, right? And then all you get is a weekend off work, and that weekend doesn't last too long, because as soon as the weekend comes, it's time to go back to work on Monday. So what freedom have you truly experienced? You know the word freedom, but you've never, can you actually say that you've experienced it? Many of you have not experienced it. You can't say you've experienced freedom because you've never experienced it. You don't know what it feels like. You don't know what it looks like, right? And even if you were given freedom now, what would you even do with it? That's a good question. For those of you that have never had freedom in your life in the Western world, if you were given freedom right now, complete freedom, what would you do with your freedom? Just answer that question, right? Get a piece of paper, write down that question, and write down, if I was given freedom, what would I do with it? And write down the answer. I bet many of you haven't even got an answer to that question because you wouldn't even know where to even start because you've never been free. You've been a slave since birth. Since birth, you've been a slave, right? So you don't know what freedom is. You wouldn't know what to do with it, how to go about it, how to even utilize it. You'll be lost. You'll be sitting at home, losing your mind because you've never been free your whole life. You see, and even if someone gave you the opportunity to be free, you probably want to stay in your subservient, slave-like lifestyle because just the thought of freedom for you, it's just like, well, no. You probably wouldn't. You're so comfortable in your subservient lifestyle, you wouldn't even know even how to use your freedom. You see, and this is what I'm saying about freedom and what it looks like. Do you see? So freedom is something that I'm very much an advocate of, right? And I'm very much about being free, right? So I'm here to encourage you to start your journey of being free, right? Free yourself of your own prison, right? Think about your own mental prison that you have in your mind. These mental limits that where you're telling yourself that there's a limit, right? See, in this day and age, right, you have to now sort of create a mindset that is limitless, a unlimited way of thinking, where there's no limit to your thinking. You have to. This is what freedom is. Freedom is to think freely with no limits on your brain, where your brain is shackled in this mental prison that you create. Right? You've got to free your mind of the burdens of the chains that's on your mind right now. This is where you need to start. See, so don't be saying things like the sky's the limit, because that's another thing. The sky is the limit. There is no limit, right? There is no ceiling on the sky. Whereas if you go to a certain height of the sky, there's going to be this ceiling, and you can't get past that ceiling. There is no limit out there. If you used to go in a rocket, right, into space, you're going to see that there is no barriers. There's no barriers up there. This is what I'm saying. So how can the sky be the limit? Once you go above the clouds, there's a whole different galaxy out there. So the whole statement about the sky's the limit, again, that's another brainwashing social mechanism that makes you believe that there's a limit. So I want you to stop saying the sky is the limit. Stop saying that, because there is no limit out here. Right? Because when we look at the higher powers that be, they don't have that mindset. That's how they're able to control us, because they're doing things at a level of, they're doing things at an unlimited level. And we're here limiting ourselves because we don't believe that we can achieve any higher than what we are currently achieving right now. Right? So it is time to free your mind and start a new journey of freeing yourself. Right? So start making your journey of freedom. And, if you're not sure where to start with yourself. Before you can take your life out of bondage, you got to free yourself first. You can't free yourself from bondage until you free yourself, and freeing yourself starts with your mind. Free your mind first. Start there. The revolution starts in your mind. It doesn't start any other way. It starts in your mind. So start freeing your mind and just see how your life begins to change, right? And once your mind becomes free, then your actions start to follow through what is on your mind. You see? Because when your mind's free, now you start to move and think like a free man or a free woman or just a free human being. So if you don't know where to start, it starts in your mind first, right there, in your mind, okay? So that's my task for you. My task for you is to start your first step to freedom by freeing your mind first, right? Freeing your mind means you got to educate yourself, read, study, and, put some new information up there that gives your mind that freedom to think for itself. So start there. And I'm going to end this chapter right here. I'm going to end it on that note. Take care and see you in the next video.